My name is Rahat Kazmi. My name is Rahat Kazmi. Basically, I've done quite few things so far. Initially, I was a SEMA accountant. Then I went into lecturing and corporate training, and also do photography as well to advanced level. But that's only a hobby. So still currently teach in few universities in the UK, degree level, the master degree level. But training is my passion, and of course it's always a pleasure to teach at MUS platform. So people, today's topic is quality teaching with stories. Okay, so I would request all of you to please at least have your cameras on. So because I'll try to talk less, and I'll try to engage you all as much as I can. So please, of course, it's going to be very interesting sector. So please, I will ask you all to engage, ask questions, and I'll tell you stories, you'll tell me stories as well. So because I'll tell you exactly why stories are very important when we teach and train people. So today's topics, we will cover the following things: 3 types of stories used in teaching, how to use a story in teaching, finding and choosing the right stories, very, very important, story structure, what the story should include, emotion, why do we have emotion in stories, surprise, why should we have surprise in stories, humor, and what to watch out for. So guys, these are the topics we'll cover today, hopefully within an hour. Okay, so we have, first of all, this topic, although it's not in our list of things, but so this is very important. I just want to make sure you understand why stories are important. So people's stories create scenes, facts don't. So can I please ask any one of you, when you see the first picture on the right and on the top there, what does it tell you? Because picture, if they say pictures can tell 1,000 words, what the picture can tell you? I share this picture on purpose with you so you can all tell me what it means. Anybody?
It's an army man. He's ready for fight or something.
He's army man. Okay, that's a good clue, but I need to know exactly who this army man was.
I think this is the last man who left Afghanistan.
It was very famous I think few months ago. This picture went viral.
The last man who left Afghanistan, right?
The last man who left Afghanistan, that's right, that's it.
Last US soldier.
This was a general of American Army. Basically, and you should look at his body language. And the guy, it looks like he lost his hope. He lost his all determination and everything. So he doesn't look like a soldier. He looks like a lost soldier who lost the war. So this picture was basically that, this was basically a story behind it. The picture can tell a story by itself. And people, the story at the bottom, at picture's bottom, what does it say? I'm sure most of you will remember that.
I think it's a movie. It's quite old movie. I don't remember the name.
Terminator?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. So I think I don't need to tell the rest of it, okay? But I'm sure you know from it what the rest was, okay? So people listen, what the reason I was trying to say was stories create scenes, but facts don't. I'm going to tell you a fact, okay? I want you to repeat after me. When I finish, please can you repeat after me the fact, okay? The fact is, 2 legs sits on 3 legs, eating 1 leg. Then along comes 4 legs and steals 1 leg from 2 legs. 2 legs then gets off 3 legs and gets the 1 leg back. What do you think, guys? Can you repeat after me, guys? Let me repeat once more for you, okay? 2 legs sits on 3 legs, eating 1 leg. Then along comes 4 legs and steals 1 leg from 2 legs. 2 legs then gets off 3 legs and gets his 1 leg back. That's a fact. I'll prove to you these are facts, not stories. Do you understand anything at all?
No, I think it's a riddle.
It's not a riddle. It's a fact, basically, fact based on the story I'm going to tell you shortly. Okay. Anybody, guys?
It's like this. It's like this is saying, two legs, like a person, and one person sitting on a stool is eating 1 chicken leg, and then a dog comes along and steals his chicken leg from the 2-legged man, and then the 2-legged man gets the stool and goes to chase the dog.
Very well done. Who's this clever person? Very well done. Excellent. That's very good. Excellent. Actually, that's what I was going to tell as well. Okay. Fine. Fair enough. Very good. So basically, okay. No, guys, you know, if I tell you the same story Facilitator just told me, okay, guys, then I'm sure you can remember who it was. Basically, the story is about a boy. Okay, of course, the boy has 2 legs. Okay, he's sitting on a stool which has 3 legs, and eating a chicken bone leg. And a 4-legged dog comes and takes the chicken bone leg from him. And the boy gets up from the 3-legged stool, gets up, takes the leg back. Okay, this is a story, okay, which I'm sure can make more sense, and most of you can go back and repeat after me. You can tell me as we pause. But you know, I'm sure initially it must have gone just above head. If you didn't know this before, of course, it'll be very difficult, very hard to go by. So people listen, when we teach our students, okay, facts can be very easily found. Okay, they can be found on Google. You can go onto Encyclopedia and you know, Instapedia. A lot of things can tell you facts only. But facts, you know, they go from one ear to other ear, and people don't pay attention. So as long as you tell the facts in a story, then people understand that. Then people remember really easily. Okay. Anybody has any questions so far?
I have a question. With subjects like fiqh, you can't really make a story up. How are we supposed to teach that? Like, say they're learning about Furu'id-Din or something like that.
So I'm sure there must be some example from an imam or somebody else. You know, you can tell that this one was done by so and so. For example, I once heard, you know, that Imam Jafar Sadiq was sitting with his followers. And the one man came, he was not sincere, and he said, okay, Imam, you are an Imam, so why don't you make that, there's a picture on the wall of a lion. Can you make this lion eat me? So Imam said, no, please don't say that, okay. And when this man insisted, so Imam said, okay, lion ordered you to go and eat this man. So the picture converted into lion and man was eaten alive. So I think these things, if you have a fake issue as well, if you can find some story, I'm sure it'll be a lot easier for students to follow and then understand it, okay? That's what I would say. So please, no, I'm not too much in religion myself, you know, I can't tell you lots of stories about religion, but, you know, of course, I'm a corporate trainer. But that idea was, you know, that we can really teach any subject when it comes to, you know, story, trying to make understanding really clearly. I think that there's some story involved, okay? All right, let's move on, guys. So people, okay, 3 types of stories used in training. First one is teach, move, and connect. When it comes to teach, first of all, if you look at the picture on top here, I'm trying to show you a little, you know, emoji here. If you look at the picture here, it says, my race is not a virus. If you remember, Donald Trump, he used to say that, you know, it's a Chinese virus. So he convinced everyone the virus was Chinese. When you look at Chinese person, people were afraid. Basically, these are basically, you know, memorable illustrations. We need to sort of, you know, teach something which can sort of link to something else, a case study, maybe link with the topic. So next one, guys, is move, how, and do. In this topic here, I put 2 pictures there. First one, you can see that man holding a baby. What does it tell? What do we learn from here? Anybody?
Well, it must be a newborn child, like the man's newly became a parent.
Newly became parent. So I think people who don't become newly parent, they don't look after the kids. Okay, let's just show, you know, the man is really looking like a really dedicated father. He's looking after a little baby, and, you know, of course, helping the baby's mother. Okay, so of course that's just, you know, this story will tell you how to go and adopt similar strategy. Second picture there is like maybe a speed gun. Yes, I once was going from central London. I used to live at the time in Muswell Hill area. So I used to go 7 in the morning after finish work from London. I used to work as a night manager for one of the large hotels. So I was going through Regent's Park. Regent's Park on one side of the road are all diplomat homes. And I saw a policeman coming out from behind the wall. And as soon as he pointed the gun towards me, I must be going about 60 miles and speed limit was only 40 miles. The moment he put the speed gun towards me, I put foot on brake and went to 40. And he just went like this. Okay, he was just trying to, okay, oh, next time I'll catch you. So basically I smiled as well, he smiled. And we both went on. So these kind of things, they can really, sort of, if you have a story like this to move people, people can basically, a story can create action in people, okay? They can sort of link them to the action which is taking place. Next one, guys, connect. Create relationship with yourself. So the reason I told you initially who I was, my name is Rahat Kazmi. I was born in Pakistan, lived in UK for 34 years. And I have been working as an accountant, director of finance, group financial controller. Then when I came back to London from Ireland, after spending 7 years there, I started lecturing in universities, started teaching MBA, other levels, then also started doing corporate training. So I taught a lot of professionals in Middle East, oil and gas, finance houses in Europe. So I think my business started really doing great until end of 2019. And due to COVID, of course, it went down a bit, and I went back to university again to lecture. So the reason I'm telling you this, because then you know exactly who you're learning from. So guys, it's always better idea to tell the students about yourself, who you are, what you do. So because if they don't know you, they will not learn from you. Okay, so it's very, very important to tell people who you are, what you do, so people can at least relate to yourself. Okay, how to use story in teaching, guys. Basically, okay. Don't tell a story and explain the lesson, guys. When you tell a story, then don't tell them the lesson of the story. Ask the students what the lesson story was. Okay, and people will also say to you, when you want to tell a story, don't even ask for permission. Don't even say, oh, it's such a short story. No, just tell a story. Just start telling a story, and then of course, then ask them after telling a story what the lesson was in the story. Okay. So basically, what you can do, you can switch between storyteller and teacher and being a facilitator, because facilitator is the one who will take out their own knowledge and connect with the new knowledge. People, I can tell you that from the last 11 years I've been teaching and lecturing, that I have never seen a student learning so quickly until you connect the previous experience with the new experience, with the new knowledge. So you need to sort of understand your students, what they know already and what they're trying to learn now. So if you connect the previous knowledge with the new knowledge, like a bridge, then it connects really well. It works well, okay? So listen, guys, here you should see you have two pictures here on the board here. One is HEB. HEB Plus basically is a very big store like Walmart in Texas. And then second one is, of course, the Walmart, okay? So Walmart, they spread and they growth, they grew really fast compared to HEB. Amount Walmart has stores worldwide. Even Asda in UK, they're also owned by Walmart. So of course, the CEO of HEB, his name was Charles Burt in Texas. He tried to meet with Sam Walton. Sam Walton was the CEO of Walmart. So he requested him to see him. He said, I'd like to come to meet you with my team, our executive. He said, yes, sure, no problem, most welcome. So when CEO HEB, Charles Burt, he arrived in the Walmart store in Texas. So he saw Sam Walton on the shop floor, and he was serving a lady. He was trying to sell a lady an iron board cover. So of course, Charles Burt didn't want to waste any time. He tried to approach Sam Walton. Sam Walton says, excuse me, but just wait for me. Okay, just give me a few minutes. Let me talk to this young lady here, deal with her, then I'll come back to you. So of course, they all stood there. They respected him because, of course, he's serving a customer there. Because what Sam Walton did, he sold that ironing board cover to this lady, and she put that in her basket and she went away. So when Sam Walton came back, he told Charles Burt, do you know that how many used iron boards are destroyed in America and people need to replace it? He said, we're going to sell 1 million of them this month. And guess what, guys? And in that month, Walmart actually sold 1 million of used new iron board covers, because they realized they have research done that people were using old ironing board covers, they were damaged and destroyed or not really in good condition. So they sort of launched this product at a good price, and they sold really well. So people can ask you, okay, can I ask you please, from this story I just told you, what's the lesson you learned from this story? Come on, guys, please, don't be shy. You already know me, it's Rahat Kazmi. Anybody? Hope you can all hear me, yes?
Yes, we can. So I guess the thing is that the CEO of Walmart was very humble, and he was like not sitting in his office somewhere. He was there dealing with the customer. That's all I can say.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good contribution. Anybody else, guys? You know, this story tells about a success, yeah? Success of Walmart. Why did success led to success? What was the reason behind this success? They launched a product and it sold really well. Why?
They knew their market, they knew their customers.
They knew the customer because they had done proper research beforehand. And when the research was done, then of course they realized a lot of people need, use, and they need ironing board covers, because ironing board covers they're using, they're either very old or they're damaged or something. And they ask questions, they did some surveys. And when they launched the product, it sold, really quickly, as expected. So, okay, this was just story. Let's move on, guys. Let's move on to finding and choosing the right stories. Why is that important, guys? Why do we need to find the right stories? You look at the picture here. What does the picture say to you?
Is that someone sailing above the waves?
Okay. Anybody else?
I can see a dollar sign there.
Yes, that's right. It all sounds well. Okay, guys, this was the first, sort of idea. A man took idea of flying through birds. Okay, this was picture says. A man took idea of flying through birds. How can birds fly? And of course, the way the birds can balance in air and don't fall down. The whole when aeroplane was invented, exactly, this was also done in such a way. Okay, that's basically people, they created an invention just based on the bird's wings. Okay, the way the birds can fly and don't fall down while flying. Okay, this whole the idea was. Okay, so people, first of all, when we say we need to tell a story, the right story will mean that we need to find out who our audiences are. Who we're telling story to. One story, may not make any sense to some audience, but it might make perfect sense to other audience. Okay, so what is it I want to tell them? I want them to think, feel, and do. So guys, when we tell a story, you want people to realize, okay, so what they can think, what they feel, and what they do. This should be in your mind, first of all, to start with. The most productive things to look for is to find a story is success, first of all. If you tell success in a story, or a failure, or a moment of clarity, those things, if they're in story, it makes more sense. People always remember that, okay? Now, people listen, I'll tell you a little incident here. There was a little boy, 9 years old, James. He was watching his aunt making a cup of tea. The kettle was boiling. When kettle boiled, she made a cup of tea and she moved away in the same room. And then James was, he was holding a spoon. And where the kettle, steam comes out, he was putting spoon on top, and then realized, steam was becoming water, and the drips of water were coming into the cup. And he was quite fascinated with that. He said, okay, how is that happening? Why is steam coming into water? His aunt was getting very upset. Oh, James, you got nothing else to do. Come on, don't waste your time. Don't go and do some homework or something. She told him off. But James, he didn't really take notice of that insult, that telling off. He was fascinated with this idea. Why the steam becomes water? And people 20 years later, the same James Watt, He reinvented the steam engine. Okay. All right. So guys, make a list of kind of stories you need to teach. Search your own past, guys. So I'm sure when we spend a lifetime, guys, we can find lots of stories of ourselves. Okay. Or we can ask for stories, or maybe we can find a book of stories. If you are working as a project manager, you're working as an IT person, a trainer, a teacher, you should be full of stories, because stories you need from left pocket, right pocket, back pocket, front pocket, guys. You need stories all the time, because then you can bring a lot of stories in life. When I became lecturer, my first lecture was in 2010 in month of February. And my class was, MBA class in Kingston University, and topic was leadership skills and leadership skills and change management. I think about 50 students in class, a big class, and for first 10 minutes, my face was red. And then when I realized no one is laughing at me, no one making fun of me, redness had gone. Then I became more confident. After 1 week, I realized, I was very, very successful. Other groups wanted to come to my groups of MBA. And I was called by the program director. He said, Rahat, why everyone wants to come to your group? What are you doing differently? So I'm not doing differently. I'm just using your lecture notes. But then when we discussed, I told him, okay, yes, there could be one reason, because I have lots of industry background, a lot of stories to tell them. I can tell them a lot of stories when time comes. I can relate one topic with a story. And then, of course, then it understands, it creates better understanding for them. Instead of printing an A4 page of Hewlett Packard or IBM or something else, it just it makes more sense to them. Okay. The people's story structure is what? Just imagine, guys, if you found out at the beginning of murder mystery that who murderer was, it would ruin the entire story, wouldn't it? Entire eight questions that your training story needs to answer. Guys, I also did 2 times murder mystery at work, with Christmas time with my employers, because I think most of my life here I've been working with English employers, British employers, and of course murder mystery was most of the time an issue. Or you might have watched a few movies as well, murder mystery, and they don't tell you till the last minute who the actual murderer was. Everyone could be suspect, and that creates a suspense that keeps people interested. Okay. So guys, first of all, let me tell you from the diagram. First of all, opening exposition, okay? Then we need to show a conflict there. When you show a conflict, it creates inciting moment. If you watch a movie, first of all, you're watching a movie, all of a sudden you see the movie starts with a murder. Somebody is brutally killed. And then, of course, the whole story will be about finding out what happened to that person. Oh, they might show that in the beginning, okay? The conflict at the beginning. Then, of course, and you're going through the different set of chapters, and then you know exactly what went on. Okay, welcome. Next one, guys. Okay, it's a basic plot diagram. And then from rising action, then we go into the climax. That's really the top end of the story. Then, guys, from there, action is falling. Then, of course, finally, we find the resolution. Okay, then story ends. So basically, story, guys, you should always have a beginning and end in mind. Okay, without end in mind, story can't make any sense. People won't understand it. So people, here about 8 questions. The story need to answer. Number 1, what should I listen? Why should I listen to this story? If your learner was there, your students were there, you need to ask yourself, why will I listen to this story? Where and when did it take place? Who's the main character, and what did they want? What was the problem or opportunity they ran into? So this is our story. You can create a story yourself. Sometimes, guys, you can even create a fiction story. But tell the learners in advance, this story is not real, but it's fiction. I tell them afterwards. But of course, you can't just tell a fake story and not tell them. You just must tell them, okay, this was a fiction. I read a novel, maybe something else. Okay, but this is what it was. Then, guys, we had welcome, Hossein. What did they do about it, and how did it turn out to be at the end? What did you learn from it, and what do you think I should do now? Okay, because we got every story, sort of give you a lesson. Okay, next one, guy, is emotion. Okay, stories, training story guide, teaching stories must evoke some emotions. Okay, He has 3 techniques to help bring out emotional components in your storytelling. Tell me, guys, tell me. You have to guys basically, start tell a story. In this picture, for example, what happens there? A man has stabbed himself with a rose. Okay, so this is and a sort of telling a story in such a way the person understands the emotion behind it. Okay, either the person has maybe failed love or something, or I don't know, maybe maybe beloved has died or something. I don't know. Maybe he just got his beloved has accepted his engagement ring or something. So something. So basically, this is creating emotion. Next one, guys, show me. Guys, you can say, for example, let's say I tell you a picture, for example. This picture here, you can see that what's lady doing here? What's the young lady doing here? She's crying about something. She's obviously upset, but there's no tears there. Like, I don't see tears, but it just this is what kids do. They sometimes pretend to cry to get something. Okay, get something from you. So last one, guys, introduce yourself, your characters first. You need to tell who they are. First of all, let's say I tell you, okay, I worked for Holiday Inn in London back in, I think, late 90s, early 90s. Early 90s, yes. I worked there as night manager, and we used to have a breakfast chef, an African breakfast chef. He used to work in the morning. He used to come sometime 4:30 in the morning. I saw him coming to work, guys, even if it's raining outside, snowing outside, winter, summer, etc., in any weather, he would never call in sick. He came there 7 days a week without sickness, without any other excuse. He always came on time. Very hardworking. When I went to kitchen sometime in the morning to make breakfast, I saw him working very hard, breaking the eggs, making omelets, and of course, he made everything on time. Never ever any complaints about him. So people one day, he was very upset because he didn't get paid. He left few messages for the GM, the hotel GM, also for HR. No one got back to him, and it was second, third day when he was still waiting for his money to come through. I'm sure he must have any rents to pay or other expenses to pay. So of course, no one listened to him, and then nothing was done. So what he did, one day when he left in the morning, it was, I think, a weekend, Sunday morning. So he took a paint can and put a big swear word on the door of the GM, and he left. So of course, when next day everyone came back and they saw that this what happened. So now, of course, the GM couldn't take this insult. So of course, by the day they went to his locker, they found a few sachets of butter, 1 or 2 oranges in his locker room, a locker box, and then they said, "Okay, fine, we are sacking you because of theft. You have stolen the company property." So they sacked him. So can you imagine, guys, if I had told you a black chef was sacked from job initially? I'm sure it won't get you any sympathies, but know that I told you who he was, what he did, what kind of person he was. Guys, are you all feeling some sympathy for him? Do you think that was fair, the way he was sacked?
Yes.
So guys, this is what we need to do. We need to sort of, introduce the character first. Then of course, people will have some kind of emotion. So emotion, guys, is all about stories, okay? Let's move on, guys, to surprise. Next side of stories, bring a surprise. We all enjoy a surprise ending in mystery novel or the unexpected turn of events in our favorite movie, don't we, guys? If we don't have a surprise, if we don't have any sort of, unexpected events, then we don't call it thriller. Thrillers are like this, okay? Thrillers have surprises. When they say that you can sit on the edge of the seat when you watch a movie like that, it's just because this movie would have lots of surprises, unexpected events, okay? Especially horror movies, they can create lots of surprises. It makes them more effective, and surprises play a different role depending on where you put them in story, guys. Surprises, guys, if you put them in the beginning, it'll have a different effect altogether in the middle or end, okay, guys? So it calls, if a murder mystery movie is something, a surprise at the end, of course, that will be really ending the story there, okay? Then that means it would have kept you on the edge of the seat, all the story. A surprise at the beginning of the story, guys, gets you audience to pay attention. But a story, a surprise at the end of the story serves a very different and even more important purpose. Okay, welcome, Sufyan. To create a surprise at the beginning of your story, just start with the most unexpected thing that happens in the story, and then flashback to the beginning of the story and tell the rest as it was as usual. Okay, guys, this is how movies are done. Most successful movies, guys, they have some surprise in the beginning. I sometimes download movies from internet, from different sites. I pay for them, but once I realize, or maybe when I watch a movie on Netflix, if I don't see any surprise, anything unexpected event, anything interesting, I might watch for 10-15 minutes and then I'll just skip it, go to something else, because that doesn't really justify my time spending on it. So I'll move on. Okay, any question, anybody still so far? Surprise? No questions? Okay, let's move on. Next one, guys, is humor. Okay, do good stories have to be funny? No, of course not, guys, but of course you should bring some element of humor in that. That will make good sense. People, I had a lecturer of Urdu when I was in college in Pakistan. His name was Abdul Wahid. Wahid, if you know what in Urdu, I think Wahid in Arabic as well means single or one. So what happened? The story was basically that he came to study in England, and the lady he wanted to get married, she got married to his brother. The mom, she made a decision, and when he went back, he was so heartbroken he never got married to anybody else after that. So sometimes the students in class, they should teach the students, teach the teacher. They will come in before the teacher comes, a lecture comes. They will write on the blackboard, "Wahid, tum kab tak Wahid rahoge? Wahid, how long will you stay Wahid?" mean. So of course he will come in. Oh, you guys are very naughty. He will wipe it away and then start the lesson. And people, one day he was telling us a description of a verse from a poet of India, Mir Sakimir. Mir Sakimir, I don't know if you know about him. He was a very famous poet. His poetry has been written in lots of textbooks in Pakistan. I think Urdu has little died in India, but in Pakistan it's a national language. So of course, every person in Pakistan, they have to learn Urdu until I think GCSEs or A levels. So the verse was like that because Mr. Abdul Wahid, Professor Abdul Wahid, he had gone through himself a disaster of love, of course, and what he did, he always, when he had the possession of this romantic verses, he used to translate them really well. He would take his heart out as well to translate it. In one verse, he's saying, okay, in this verse, the poet is trying to say that I'll be lying and my head would be in the lap of my beloved, and she had long hair, and her hair are basically hanging on my face, and then of course jam or wine or maybe looking kali sharbats or maybe something else, a sweet drink is dripping from her hair and going to my mouth. And one student says, all of a sudden, sir, if the beloved had lices, then what? He said, oh, I'm sorry, student, I didn't mean your beloved. I was talking about the boy's beloved. So guys, basically this was, this kind of thing, little story like this, they can basically, make this, the whole lecture, a whole class, a lot more interesting. Okay, people can, they're more, they more get up on the edge of the seat and see exactly what next year to say, okay? Use a funny visual while you're telling the story. You can see here, the picture I've shown here, it's like Pinocchio, okay? Or you can pronounce something weird, for example, emphasis syllable, okay? Or give your character more interesting names. Adjective for president, or max profit for the CFO, chief financial officer, or sell a lot for the sales vice president. Don't be afraid to act out a little of the story, guys. Of course, we have to link the students, guys, with the story, okay, and try to make sure that we teach them as best we can. Find a way to make your funny personal stories relevant to your topic, guys. Of course, people will always have some stories in life where we basically can share with our learners, our students. I once actually went for a haircut in Pakistan when I was in school myself. I had a brother who was 6 years younger than me. So he used to follow everything I used to do. And of course, when I came home, I wasn't totally satisfied with the haircut. So I tried to order them myself. But what happened now that I saw my hand moved and scissor went too deep. So when I'd go back to the barber and get everything shaved up, I got totally bald, I got everything shaved up. I asked him to use 0 number of shimmer and shave everything because of course my cut had gone so deep. When I came home, my brother asked me, what happened, brother? I said, oh, this is fashion these days, all the boys in my college, they're doing this. I said, oh, really? He went as well. He said he also got his own head shaved. Of course, I just deceived him, but no, I didn't want to be alone in the house with head shaved. I told him afterwards, but he was saying, oh my God, you made me shave my head because of this, because you made a mistake. So people, sometimes we can always find some funny stories. It doesn't mean it's insult to yourself, okay? But it just, it becomes more real. Okay? Next one, guys, is okay, what to watch out for. Never apologize or ask permission, guys, when you're telling a story. Don't apologize if story is a bit longer. Okay, mostly people, I would say stories should not be more than 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, if really that's what the story would be. Okay, otherwise, if story becomes too long, it loses the purpose. Okay, so try to keep the stories short and to the point. Okay, then guys, stories, training stories, teaching stories don't need to be long. Okay, it has to be sort of at reasonable length. Because people, we sort of say about 200 to 300 words per minute. Okay, so if you have spoken, let's say 300 for 3 minutes, guys, you already spoken 500 to 600 words. That means if you write it down, it's more than one A4 page. Okay, that means it's a lot. So guys, when you listen to video online for 10 minutes, that video when you write it down, type it down, guys, on paper, you can see that how long it goes. Okay, it's very, guys, please. So story should not be that long. Story should be conversational. That means story should not be like a lecture. When you give a normal lecture, a normal class, story should be like in story style. Okay, it had a beginning, define the characters as well. It goes to its climax and goes to end, conclusion with conflict resolved. Story should be real, guys. Okay, they should be real. If not real, then of course at least we should tell the learners afterwards. The story just told you this was a fiction. I read a novel. Okay. Let your audience react and share, guys. So when you tell a story, always ask your audience to tell you the moral of the story, what they understood from it, what was the reason behind it. So people, let me guys ask you one question. The story I told you about James Watt, what do you thought of that? What lesson do you learn from that? I'm looking for your reaction, guys. I'm sure you all teachers, so of course, I want to see exactly how would you look for reaction from your students. Hope guys you didn't forget the story. James Watt?
I think that was his age. He was learning, so we should never stop our children to learn stuff. So that's why he became a big successor in his life.
Excellent, because that was his passion.
Yes.
So if you see the kids, they have passion for certain things, let them go on that, because sometimes some Muslim parents, we force our kids to become doctor or engineer because that's our passion. That maybe something we can do ourselves. We want our kids to do it, but we don't realize what their own passion is, which direction they like to go themselves. So, okay, thank you very much. Well done. That was good. Guys, any questions? I'm sorry, I might have gone a bit quicker because you guys didn't engage, didn't ask questions. So, of course, I finished earlier than I would have hoped. Any question, guys? Anybody wants to know something from me before I hand over to Brother Bisam?
It's really hard sometimes finding Islamic stories to teach young children, because I think they're really, that's their learning age. So always finding it difficult to look for stories they can understand. So I really appreciate if we can actually have some links like this. Yeah, books or maybe links.
Sure. I think I'll probably talk to MUS meeting next time when we have. We'll probably ask them that can we provide some books like that where short stories are available. Okay, but at the same time, even if it's not from, let's say, Al-Bayt, we can even have stories from our own parents sometimes. Some parents, our parents, forefathers, They were told some stories. I have lots of stories. My mom used to tell me, my dad used to tell me, this happened, that happened. So of course, when I'll tell you one thing, for example, my dad came to England in 1995, and he came for first time and last time, because he never want to come to England again. But of course, when he came here, he was very impressed. And one day we went for dinner to our friend's home, and because I was an accountant, my other friends were also accountants and other professionals. We went to their homes, and so in one home we had maybe 25 people there, and one friend of mine asked uncle, he asked my dad, uncle, what do you think of England? So he said to them, well, it's a perfect Muslim country. You should take two things away from it. And no, when he said England is a perfect Muslim country, you should take two things away from it. And everyone was paying attention, and everyone looked what uncle is going to say next. So basically he said, if you take alcohol and sex away from this country, it becomes a perfect Muslim country. They are doing everything in this country which a Muslim country is supposed to do. And we're not doing it here. Just to justify that, I once went to Dublin, from Dublin to Agadir in Morocco. I went with my family from Ireland. It was actually Aer Lingus flight from Dublin. It's a Irish national carrier. So it was my flight, my family, an Asian family, and of course maybe one or two maybe black families, I think. That's a lot of other English or Irish, so mostly Irish. So when we got into the queue there of the immigration, there were 3 counters there. We were in one of the queues. So I was actually quite the middle of one queue, and then of course there are people behind me, people in front of me. At least there were 30, 40 people in front of me. And I saw somebody just calling me. So when I looked back, I know you with this jacket. So when I went to him, I went to immigration officer. So bring your family, brother, bring your family. So I thought, really? Oh, bring your family. So I don't know what he wants to do. I called my family. We all went there. Oh, please show us your passports. So I showed him our passport. He put the stamps in them. When he put stamps in all our passport, he said, oh, brother, any tip for me? So then I realized why he called me, why he asked me to break the queue. He realized I'm a Muslim person and I understand how bribe works, so I might bribe him. I said, look, I'm so sorry. He made me break the queue, and I'm so embarrassed that I broke the queue because of you, but I don't have money. Oh no, please, brother, please, I got small kids. Okay, do you take credit cards? He said, no, sir, I don't take cards. Any euros, any broken money? Well, I'm sorry. Okay, no, don't worry. When you go back, I'll see you then. Of course, I was very angry, but when we came back after a couple of weeks, we saw the man there again. And he recognized me. Oh, hello, brother. How are you doing? How was the holiday? Okay. And tip for me, look, I spent lots of money in Morocco. I bought this table lamps and so on. So I spent all the money. I'm sorry, I got no Moroccan money left and no euros. I only still have the card left. I didn't want to give him any money, but that was the impression I got when you go to a Muslim country. These things happen a lot. But in UK, at least, I'm not saying UK is a perfect country, but this was my dad's observation. So people know we have lots of stories like this to tell as well. We can tell these stories. It doesn't have to be from a prophet or al-Bads. If you don't know it, fine, fair enough. But of course, if you're teaching Islamic stories, Islamic education, we should try to get more little stories as much we can. And
Brother Rahat, when
yes?
you say story telling, so you mean story, we narrate the story to children or students? It's better we show them some sort of video. So probably video would have more effect. What do you say?
Video is also good, but I would say story. If you tell story yourself, it makes all good sense. It'll be a lot more effective than showing them a video.
Okay,
because
so
you need to link the story with the topic.
Engaged, like we make them part of the story by role playing or something like that.
So you need to link the story basically the topic you're covering. If story is not linked with the topic, then of course the topic will be like, we talked about the facts initially, facts and the scene. Facts don't create scene, but stories do. So we need to, that's the whole idea. We need to create a scene through story. Of course, we see shortcuts these days. When I lecture as well in college, university, I also show some videos to link, but of course videos, they don't have the same effect as you tell them personally, the story which is linked to the topic.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Any more questions, guys, before we hand over to Brother Misum?
It's not a question. It's just I just like to reiterate what you said, that it really does help. I think children learn more through a story than just a presentation of facts. And I think they zone out when you put a video on as well, unless it's just like a 2 or 3 minute video.
Sure.
They just zone out. So yeah, I definitely would recommend telling stories.
Brilliant.
Video.
Excellent. Thank you, sister. That's great. Anybody else, guys? Anybody else?
I would like to know how I can make stories interesting for teenagers, because I have this teenage boy who is very distracted during my class, and I don't know how to keep his attention towards the story or towards what I'm saying.
Okay, sister, listen, my advice would be, okay, you know, I've been teaching, lecturing for the last 11 years. So currently I teach some number of students who are government funded. So their course is not paid for them even, government pays for them. So they're degree students. So when I go to a class first time, I usually ask them a question, okay, do you like brands? Yes, sir, I like this brand. I'm wearing this watch, I'm wearing this shirt, you know, this, that designer, that designer. So then I ask them, why do you like this designer clothes? Why do you like the designer gadgets? And say, oh, sir, it's very good quality. It lasts longer and it's got very good reputation and looks cool on me as well. Okay, fine. So you like brand because they have certain qualities, they don't let you down and you sort of rely on them. And you're happy to pay a lot more money for it. So please tell me, are you a brand? Oh, no, sir, I'm not a brand. Really? Why not? Then I tell them Rahat Kazmi is a big brand. Because if I don't believe in myself, nobody else will believe in me. So guys, I tell them, okay, in my opinion, all of you are top, you know, sort of businessmen in future, are top, you know, future entrepreneurs. So I tell them, guys, you are not for me any less than Hugo Boss or, you know, Gucci, or they're all top brands for me. So please, this is my image about you. Don't let me down. Don't let yourself down in front of me. And please remember, sister, for me, 99% of the time that works for me because I give them a lot of respect and give them lots of importance. And then they know that I put them at that high level. They won't bring them down. So I think, yes, stories, we need to find relevant stories to topic if they have, you know, so it has to be more interesting subject, interesting topic, or create a bit more interest for them. So everyone can, you know, some people learn from text only, some might learn from pictures, some might learn from videos, maybe role play, something like that. So I think all those things you can try, and then let's see if it makes any difference.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Brother Misram, is that okay? Hope guys, everyone has enjoyed. And if you any question at all, please feel free to share it in the group and I'll be happy to get back to you.